Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we are going to be talking about the War Doctor. This is going to be like the first kind of video where I'm focusing more on like a commander and stuff, where I wanted to kind of go through a commander, talk about kind of what makes them strong, what kind of cards can go with them and stuff like that, because I wanted to do this one first because honestly, he's called the War Doctor because he's going to be committing war crimes every single time he is attacking. So the War Doctor is obviously, one of the new Doctor Who cards. He's got two different parts to his ability. The first one is whenever one or more permanents phase out, or whenever one or more other cards are put into exile from anywhere. So from, their deck, from their graveyard, from their freaking hand, from wherever, they're going to be putting a time counter onto him. And then whenever he is attacking, he's going to deal damage equal to the number of time counters on him to any target. Any target at all. You can choose, their creatures, you can choose an opponent, you can choose whatever you like. If a creature is dealt damage this way and it would die, then you get to exile it, which guess what? Gets to give him another time counter. But that's not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on just building up 1,000,000 time counters onto him until we're one-shotting people. Just constantly. Just go directly for the face, deal 40 damage to them in one turn, because why not? So, the War Doctor, he's very similar to Layla, the Blade Reforged, which is a card that's going to be great with him, because whenever she attacks, she's going to exile the top card, giving him a time counter. However, she's going to also get a +1/+1 whenever a card is exiled from your library or from your graveyard. So if you don't know how this works, essentially when a card is exiled, it doesn't matter how many cards are exiled. So if you exile 3 cards at once, then they're just going to get 1 proc. If you exile 1 card at a time, though, for example, with Discover, with Cascade, or with anything that's like exile until you reach a non-land card or something like that, then you're going to get 1 proc for each of them. That's going to be a +1/+1 to Layla. That's going to be a time counter, and therefore extra damage onto the War Doctor. So as for companions, you're likely going to use Ryan Sinclair, because then whenever you attack, you get to exile until you exile a non-land card. If you've got a lot of lands in there, all of a sudden, you're just going to be dealing a lot of damage with it. You get to cast that card for free as well if it's less value than his power, but we're not kind of worrying about that. We're more worrying about just using this to pump up the War Doctor. The other option is obviously Clara as well, which is going to make it so that whenever he does the triggered abilities, he's going to trigger at an additional time. That means that 1, you're going to get 2 time counters each time you exile a card, and 2, you're also going to get you're going to be able to deal that damage twice whenever he attacks to 2 different targets as well. So therefore, if you manage to get up to 40 counters on him, all of a sudden with Clara, you're going to be dealing 40 damage to player A, 40 damage to player B. Player C is just going to be sitting there cowering in the corner, because why not? So some cards are going to work well. First of all, you got Chimmel here, which is going to make it so that at the end of your at the beginning of your end step, you just get to discover. This is just going to be free procs for him, no matter what. It's just going to be discover through your deck and just get a whole bunch of really great cards, as well as you get to cast that card for free, or put it into your hand, or from there you can also just pump up your War Doctor, because each time you're going to put more counters onto him. We've got the Chaos Wand here. This is going to make it so that the target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or a sorcery. You know what? That person over there, they're just playing mostly creatures. They're just playing their big buff creatures. So you're going to cast this onto them, and all of a sudden you're just milling through their deck as not milling, they're exiling through their deck 1 card at a time, and you're just getting more and more procs from it. And then from there, why not? You just get to cast that for free as well, because that's just going to be really fun. If you can have something else that's going to untap this, all of a sudden you can do it to this person, you can do it to that person. Why not? Just do it to everyone. We've got Plague and Nasari here, which is going to make it so that at the beginning of your upkeep, each player is going to exile a card, and then an opponent chooses a non-land card exiled this way, you can cast those cards for free. But either way, this is going to give you an additional proc as well as additional cards to play with, because why not? However, they all exile at the same time, so that means that you're only going to get 1 proc for Mr. War Doctor over here, but at least you're going to be getting procs and free spells from it, because why not? We've got Guardian of Faith here, which is going to make it so that we can protect everything. Just exile, you know, just phase out something when he comes in there. Give us some protection on our board as well as an additional proc here. We've got the Wild Magic Sorcerer, giving all our spells, the first spell you cast from exile is going to have Cascade. We're going to be casting a lot of cards from exile because why not? Just, you know, with Layla, cast cards from exile. Ryan, why not? Chimmel's casting cards from exile. Every time you discover or cascade, that's casting cards from exile. We can discover and then we can cascade from that because, you know, just play everything for free because that's really fun. We've got Atali here. Atali is going to exile the top card of each player's deck whenever he attacks. That's going to be an extra proc as well as free cards. We've got Trumpeting Carnosaur here, going to be able to discover 5 whenever you play him. You know, that's going to be some really great procs here, potentially, depending on how many high cost things that you have above 5, you can potentially just go through. We've got the Urabrask Heretic Praetor. This one's really, really nice. This is going to make it so that at the beginning of your upkeep, you get to exile the top card of your library. You can play it at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep. The next time they draw a card, instead they're going to take that card, they're going to exile it, and then they can play it this turn. So, you know, first of all, it's punishing them if they don't play it because otherwise it's going to be exiled forever. And secondly, free procs. Free procs is just going all around. We've got Sulpim here so we can take advantage of this non-combat damage that we're dealing. You're going to be able to double it. Now, all we need is 20 procs on the War Doctor and boom, we're just going to be one-shotting people from there. We've got Zoya's Justice. Zoya's Justice. So, why have I put this one here? This is going to potentially allow us to just get 40 procs from playing one card. So the owner of a target artifact or creature with mana value 1 or greater shuffles it into their library. Then that player discovers X where X is its mana value. You play this on a 1 cost. You play this on a 1 cost. Now they're going to be going through their deck, discovering, and they're only going to stop when they reach something that is mana value 1 or less. People aren't going to be running an insane amount of 1 cost cards. Usually, you know, at least they're 2 costs to start with. But, you know, depending on who you're targeting here, you can even target yourself because, you know, that would be fun. You've got 1 cost thing out there. You don't need it anymore. Just exile it. Just, you know, chuck it back into your library here, shuffle it through, and then just go through, get up to your, you know, 20, 40 procs or whatever, and then just attack someone and just boom. We've got Rest in Peace here. Exile all cards from graveyards. All cards from graveyards, and then whenever a card or token would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, you get to exile it instead. So that's going to be, you know, exiling them all one at a time. All of a sudden, you're just getting proc after proc after proc. We got the Bonehorde Dracosaur, which is the new one that's just come out with LCI, a dinosaur dragon. It's going to make it so you get to exile the top 2 cards of your library, and then you can either get a red dinosaur token or a creature. Lots of really cool stuff you can potentially do with that. We've got the Possibility Storm. This one is fun. So this is going to make it so that whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, they're going to exile it instead. Then they're going to exile cards from the top of their library one at a time, and until they exile a card that shares a card type with it. So if they've played like their 1 enchantment, or, you know, their enchantment that they've got out there, then they're going to go through there. And then you're just going to get proc after proc after proc after proc. Someone's got to remove your War Doctor because otherwise he's just going to go Dalek on them. And then they get to play it without paying the mana cost, which is really nice. But, you know, you could potentially just go through a whole bunch of cards depending on what they're kind of running. You know, they're running their 30 plus lands. They're running, you know, the 20 creatures or something like that. You've got 100 cards in here. You use this, they cast their creature. All of a sudden, now they're just going to have to go through until they find another creature. It can potentially obviously backfire if they go and find something better, but, you know, you've got some really cool stuff there. We've got Lizelle. So this is a way for us to be able to get more counters. So this is whenever a counter is put onto a creature, put that many +1 of those kinds of counters. Now, the way we're kind of working our War Doctor here is we are just slowly adding 1 on top of 1 on top of 1. Lizelle is going to make that 2 on top of 2 on top of 2. It's going to be really great to kind of get up there faster. We've got Call Forth these Tempests. This is going to cascade twice. So it's cascade, so you're going to go through and cascade. Then you're going to do it again, because why not? Then it's also going to deal damage to each creature your opponent controls equal to the total mana value of the other spells you've cast this turn. So, you know, this is a board wipe on top of, you know, cascade procs as well. Just get rid of all their stuff that they've got there. We've got Dance with Calamity. this is our kind of big finale. This is we're going to cast this, and then we're just going to completely destroy you. This is shuffle your library. Then you get to, as many times as you want, exile the top card of your library. One at a time. One at a time. If the total mana value of those cards exiled is 13 or less, you can cast them for free. However, that's not what we want to do. We want to exile 20 cards from our library. So, or 40. Depending on what kind of buffs we've got on the War Doctor. We want to exile, let's say 40. We're going to exile 40 cards, one at a time. Oh no, we're way over our 13 or less. But this is the fun part, is then we've got 40 time counters sitting on our Doctor. We're just going to attack. We're just going to destroy you. All right. Now, if we went into Clara, then we've also got the option of green that we can add in here. We've got like Vorinclex that we can potentially add in here, just doubling the amount of counters that we're going to be putting out and halving the amount of counters everyone else has got. I don't really like Vorinclex, but it is a great option for you. Or, you've got doubling season. This is doubling season on a creature. This is another option that we've got here that we can potentially use. There is a lot of red, green exile cards as well. A lot of Cascade cards. A lot of really, there's a whole exit from exile precon here that we can use that's red, green, in addition with white here if we use the War Doctor and Clara. All right. So other ways we can potentially kind of make use of this as well. We've got the Ozolith here. If, the War Doctor leaves the battle, we lose our War Doctor, he's regenerated or something. If it had counters on it, all of those are going to go over to the Ozolith. So all of a sudden we've got 40 time counters on the Ozolith. Now at the beginning of combat on your turn, we get to move all those counters back onto it. So, we've kind of shuffled them all over here, and now we're going to go into combat. We've brought him back all of a sudden, and then he's back over here, and then, I don't know, something retconned or something like that, and now all he's got his time counters back, and then we're just going to, go one-shot someone as well. We've got Aurelia, the War Leader. This is going to make it so you get to attack an additional time. So the way this works is whenever you attack with the War Doctor. So now with the Aurelia, we're going to one-shot 2 people because we're going to get to attack 2 times. Then why not, use Karlach as well? Then that's also going to be able to, if we attack with Karlach first, and then we attack with Aurelia the second time, then we're going to be able to have 3 combat phases. And now everyone's dead. We've got all will be one. This is going to make it so that whenever we put a counter onto our War Doctor, it's going to deal damage to someone. 1 damage at a time. So now, we're attacking 2 people, and then all will be one is attacking the 3rd person with these counters as well, because that's fun. We've got Seize the Day. Boom. Now we've got an additional combat phase. Additional combat phases is going to be really great with this because it's going to be able to make it so that we can proc this additional times. And then finally, we've got Roaming Throne because, Roaming Throne has to be in every deck, and it's going to make it so that our triggered ability, this part here and this part here, trigger an additional time, not just for the War Doctor, but why not just do it for all our Doctors that we have in the deck? So that's, the way that this War Doctor deck is going to work. I haven't actually completely built the deck yet. If people are interested, I can completely build the deck and I can show you guys. I'm really excited. The War Doctor is just insanely great. If you guys saw the initial kind of playthrough with the Doctor decks over on Talarian Community College, the deck that Gavin was playing was the War Doctor and Ryan Sinclair, and since I saw that, I have just been in love. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Have a great day and goodbye.